Hey guys, and welcome back for the start of a brand new series where we take characters from the comics and explain to you guys who they are before they make their live action debut. Today we have Moon Knight, aka, well, that part's a little complicated, who will be making his first live action appearance in the MCU's latest Disney Plus installment, which will be kicking off on March 30th. And as much as that sounded like an ad, it is definitely not, but Disney, please sponsor me. I'm an actor, I need the money. First appearing in Werewolf by Night issue 32 in August 1975, Marc Spector, better known as the vigilante Moon Knight, was once a mercenary left for dead in the desert, where he was revived by the moon god Khonshu. Appointed as Khonshu's fist and high priest, Moon Knight enacts justice to protect those who travel the night. Marc also has dissociative identity disorder, some of his alters being millionaire Stephen Grant and cab driver Jake Lockley. Marc Spector was born in Chicago, Illinois. The son of a rabbi, Marc grew up with his younger brother Randall on the poor side of the city, where his father Elias was the target of lots of discrimination, leaving Marc confused as to why his father would never fight back against persecution. When he grew up, Marc enlisted in the Marines and served for 3 years. On his second tour in Iraq, his superiors caught notice of Marc's bizarre behavior, and after his past was dug up, Marc was dishonorably discharged. He later joined the CIA and worked with several people who would go on to interact with Moon Knight, including his own brother, Randall Spector, who had gone to kill Marc's girlfriend Lisa with a hatchet to keep her from exposing a gun-running scheme. Marc then retaliated with a grenade and assumed Randall was dead. Seems fair. Once he left the CIA, Spector enrolled in illegal fights, where he befriended Frenchie Duchamp, and both became soldiers for hire. After Spector and Frenchie met Raoul Bushman in Egypt, they travelled to North Sudan, near the Egyptian border, for a raid on an archaeological site. When Bushman killed the lead archaeologist to find the Egyptian pharaoh's tomb, Spector punched Bushman to protect a woman by the name of Marlene. Furious, Bushman mortally wounded him in the desert, killing everyone in the place except for Marlene, Frenchie, and a villager willing to tell him the secrets of the tomb. Spector managed to reach the tomb before he collapsed, and Marlene and the crew laid him beneath an idol of Khonshu. His spirit had an encounter with Khonshu, who promised to save his life in exchange for his service. Spector agreed, although he later considered this encounter a hallucination. Restored to life, he punished Bushman's men, while Bushman himself escaped. Having finally found a purpose in life, Spector moved to New York with Frenchie and his now lover Marlene, and developed the costume, equipment, and persona of Moon Knight. With a fortune made from gambling that would support his new career of fighting crime, he began using his Stephen Grant persona as a financer and Jake Lockley as a cab driver whose purpose was to gather information at street level. His original persona, with its multiple facets, faded into the background. Still, leading 4 separate lives put great mental stress on Marc. Moon Knight can be best characterized by his relationship with the moon god Khonshu, and whether that is derived from his own mental illness or from actual divine inspiration. When Marc Spector first awakened at the foot of Khonshu's statue, it was ambiguous as to whether his survival was truly Khonshu's doing, or if Spector merely attributed it to the moon god. Later stories introduced Khonshu as an undeniably real god, employing Moon Knight as his agent. Presently, it seems as if Marc Spector is both mentally ill and an agent of a higher power. Khonshu does exist and has chosen Marc as his avatar, but Marc's mental illness sometimes causes him to experience conversations with a Khonshu that's only in his mind, not with the actual god. There are also discrepancies over whether Marc Spector was already schizophrenic or dissociative from an early age, making him a convenient host for Khonshu, or if Khonshu imposed this mental condition upon Marc. Unlike most superheroes, Moon Knight is willing to brutally hurt and maim his opponents, and sometimes has even killed his enemies, as is seen by his ripping the face off Raoul Bushman or carving crescents onto his victims' foreheads. Very Zack Snyder, if you know what I mean. Both before and after his encounter with the moon god Khonshu, Marc has displayed incredible abilities both of a human and superhuman nature, some of which I'm about to dive into. Enhanced brain function. After being brought back to life by the moon god Khonshu, Marc's brain structure was fundamentally changed. Due to being in brain-to-brain contact with him, he states that his brain was rebuilt as a god's weapon. While the full extent of the changes to Marc's mind are unknown, he's even displayed a mental resistance to telepathic attacks. Immortality. Moon Knight's pact with Khonshu granted him the advantages of immortality. In fact, presently he's been brought back to life by Khonshu on 3 separate occasions. Lunar strength. Through the power of Khonshu, Marc Spector received increased strength at night and under the light of the moon. Divine empowerment. After Marc was imbued with a slither of Khonshu's power, he displayed the powers of power absorption, necromancy, lunar kinesis, geokinesis, phase transformation, moon empowerment, and self-sustenance. Over the course of his life as a boxer, US Marine, mercenary, and costume superhero, Marc Spector has become an expert at hand-to-hand combat techniques and various martial arts. He's an Olympic-level athlete and a skilled acrobat and gymnast, and excels as a combat strategist. Marc has a large number of standard human abilities aside from his more supernatural ones, such as being an expert pilot, expert detective, interrogations expert, master marksman, weapons master, multilingual, pain resistant, telepathic resistant, and has an increased level of physical strength. Spector's original costume included Kevlar armor. It had a built-in two-way radio system so that Spector could summon Duchamp, who typically provided backup in a helicopter. Spector later upgraded the Kevlar to adamantium, and Duchamp added dart launchers to the gauntlets. More recently, he added a flashlight so that he could explore dark places with ease. Although Spector can't fly, Duchamp created his cloak so that he can spread it and slow his descent from great heights, even enabling him to steer his fall to a slight extent. Because it must be flexible, the cloak is therefore not armoured like the rest of his suit. Before he moved to the West Coast to operate there, he was wearing a costume that was made of carbonadium, which he claimed was almost as tough as adamantium, but more flexible. This suit had several features: crescent dart launchers in the wrist, crescent cable line used for swinging and grappling, jump jets, laser cutting torch, and a few other features. Although Spector has mastered almost every weapon ever invented, Moon Knight displays an obvious fondness for certain moon-themed objects, referred to as his toys. These include crescent darts, a truncheon, crescent launcher pistols, and an energy shield. Marc also has several modes of transport that he uses while patrolling as both his Moon Knight and Mr. Knight personalities. He most famously uses a flying drone as Moon Knight and a modified limousine as Mr. Knight. Despite his mistrust of teams, Moon Knight has been a member of a number of them, including the West Coast Avengers, Secret Avengers, Midnight Suns, Marvel Knights, the Defenders, and the Heroes for Hire, several of which would be really awesome to see him be a part of in the MCU, the most likely option being the Midnight Suns, which even Oscar Isaac has expressed interest in being a part of. So there we have it, that about wraps up this video, and now, if I've done my job right, you should hopefully have a better understanding of the character of Moon Knight. Now obviously that all depends on how much you already knew about him prior to this video, but at least for some of you, I hope I've been able to shed some light on the basics of the character before he makes his live action debut in the MCU's latest series, coming to Disney Plus on March 30th, a show that I for one am unbelievably excited about, and very much look forward to covering on the channel. As I said, this is the start of a new series of character explanations, so if you liked what you saw here today, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you know when we upload next. I've been Brandon, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw here today, then maybe consider subscribing to catch our other content as and when it releases.